Beautiful faces. We appreciate you guys so much for making this worth it. This is a hell of a job. I love being able to identify as a reporter, a fact, truth
Fact,
telling
yeah,
reporter.
yeah.
And it's because of you guys. So thank you. What do
Mhm.
we got next? What do we got?
Man,
Oh, we got to talk this. This is you.
bro,
Go. This is go ahead. But you said you had
Ngannou.
some insight. Sorry, go
So
ahead.
yes, so Francis Ngannou, UFC heavyweight champion, one of the most storied champions in terms of his background. This guy came from Africa, escaped from being fucking just super poor treatment. Not even gonna get into details. It's a sad fucking story.
Hmm.
Made it all the way over to another country. Was homeless in that country. Worked his way up. Eventually became a fighter. He was living at the fucking gym, and now is the number one heavyweight champion in the world. I mean, he's UFC champ, top tier dude too. And UFC let him go. UFC let him go. No contract negotiation in terms of matching what another promotion has to put out there. Free, go ahead. Fucking insane. And as a fight fan, I'm a fight nerd. Francis Ngannou may not be the most skilled in terms of striking, but he's like a Deontay Wilder in terms of power. Like he knocks heads off.
Man,
Dude's an
and
absolute killer.
he is a bloody machine. And forget about how talented he is as an athlete, man. This is one of the most humble, just nicest guys you've that I've ever heard speak. This is someone who crushes skulls for a living, but couldn't be more kind, couldn't be more lighthearted. He's just a blessing to listen to.
Yep.
So I'm gonna just you have a little insight. I'm gonna read a couple paragraphs of this bloodyelbow.com article, and we'll go from there. So it says, well, it's official. Francis Ngannou is no longer under contract with the UFC. The news of Ngannou's departure, can you zoom in just a little bit, came as a shock to the MMA community, as he was not only one of the biggest stars in the promotion, but also the reigning UFC heavyweight champion at the time. That's huge. The
Yeah.
Predator had been in a public contract dispute with the UFC the past year and was one of the most vocal critics of fighter pay. And so that makes you think, demanding higher pay across the board. So, of course, Dana, the guy so known for paying his fighters top notch, uh, it kind of makes sense why he might have let him go. UFC president Dana White, who has had problems with Ngannou in the past, claimed Ngannou turned down a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in UFC history, which I don't think means anything. Um, but
He was
that's
saying more than Brock Lesnar, more than fucking any heavy. And Lesnar at his last fight made $1 million a fight. So it still isn't crazy compared to what he would if he was boxing against Tyson Fury. But
what does
it's
Money Mayweather make a fight? Or forget about that. What if Logan Paul and insert other creator here did a fight? How much do they get? You know what I mean?
just for example, Tyron Woodley made more money than he ever did in his whole career in one fight against Jake Paul, and then in the rematch. So I think he ended at $2 million. Otherwise, the highest pay he got was 750, so seven hundred
So
fifty thousand. But then
so
you got to
so
think about this: they're contracted employees. They don't get their insurance. They don't have it covered because they're contractors. So they have to pay for their own insurance. They have to pay for their travel and lodging, unless they're like a promotional guy that UFC's fucking pushing. They've got to pay their corner, like their camp, 30% on average, usually 30% of their purse. Plus, being a contracted employee, it's 29 to fucking 40%, depending on where you are, for your taxes. So a lot of fighters, if let's say you're showing up and you're getting the average small guy 10,000 to show up, 10,000 to win. So instead of just paying them a full amount, you get 50% unless you win. So they'll show up, they'll fight, they get their money. Well, that 20,000 shrinks down to about 4,000 after all the smoke clears. And if you fight 2, 3 times a year, you're making under fucking minimum wage.
it's ridiculous, man. Pathetic, in fact. So you think, like I've heard, you like 25, 10, 5,000 a fight, like a 15,000 knockout bonus or something like that.
Usually
Like
50,000. The
fifth
bonus isn't taxed the same. It's different.
because it's like a bonus or a
Yeah,
gift
because
or
it comes in
something.
different versus
I
the
just
contracted
it,
pay.
it just really it sucks, bro.
Well, with
Like look at
Francis
other
Ngannou,
professional athletes. Look at I'm
look,
just looking like
anybody, dude. I was
any
just saying the other day a goalie that I said was a bum, a nobody, but then Toker right away over in our Discord for Emerald Hills was like, whoa, Culver or whatever's on a nobody. Dude, never heard of. Only
yeah.
make well, he's making $750,000 a season.
Right, I was gonna say he's probably got a $7 million 4-year contract. Like that's
And
incredible.
he's a guy. I typed in the lowest. I was like, what is the lowest paying hockey player? And that was the guy. I just wanted to do it because my Canadian buddies over in Emerald Hills were like, nah, fuck
Woohoo!
no, hoser. And I'm like, okay, boom. And that even alone, like that's the top tier dude, unless you're McGregor or Ronda Rousey. And
Right.
the biggest thing, Francis Ngannou's gripe was he wanted to box Tyson Fury. That fight was lined up, sewed up, good to go. UFC won't allow it. It's not allowed in his contract. So Conor McGregor could do that, but Francis Ngannou can't. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it. I get it. Like it's been a long known fact that the UFC doesn't pay their people shit. You know, from Nate Diaz screaming it to, well, hell, we can go to Tito Ortiz. We can keep going back, man, from almost the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
when essentially the UFC started to really make some coin from being on Spike TV, and you know when the early 2000s when they started to get their feet under them. And it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating to me, guys. These are athletes. They should be paid the most to put their bodies on the line for entertainment. And the money's there. It's not like the UFC's hurting for cash. So
Yeah. Well, and
yeah,
that's what's crazy, man. Is so like, for example, UFC pays on average, what am I seeing, 3 to 5% of their profit to their people, as where every other sport shares nearly 50%.
that's wild.
So, like,
Yep,
I
that's
just don't
sad,
understand.
man.
UFC sold for $4+ billion. They've doubled their valuation already. Doubled it. Their profit margin is massive. Now they're
Yeah,
doing fights at the fucking arena that
they bought
their
a Fight
little
Island, bro.
well, and they got that little Apex place we drove by a few
Yeah, yeah.
times.
The Apex.
They do all
Did you
these
just say
events.
that little Apex place?
Yeah, yeah. Well, compared to the arena that they pay for to go to at T-Mobile,
For the record, ladies and gentlemen, when we drove by that little Apex
I
place
had to
in
change my
Vegas,
pants
let's.
afterwards.
He did. He did. I was in there, same car. Like it goes. I would say it goes for blocks, but that is an understatement. That is an understatement.
It's a
It
compound.
it is a that is an understatement. That it is way bigger than that. It is like it's like a shopping center. Like bigger than that. It is so huge. It is fucking massive. It's like a massive warehouse, like a meat processing plant. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
because
it
they've
is
got the HQ,
huge.
they've got the UFC Performance Institute, which is like this giant scientific training area, and they've got the fucking Apex Center. So they've got all boom,
And
boom,
we're
boom.
and I'm not saying it's in the prime spot in Vegas. It was kind of towards the north, or no, the northwest side, I guess I could say. So it wasn't like it was like prime strip land. That's it right there, hey?
Yeah,
God, that's big. So what's that, 3 blocks?
ballpark, give or take. She's big. She's
Maybe
big.
like we drove by, and that's not all of it, if I'm not mistaken, right? Isn't there
Well, think
like
about this, dude.
more of
Like
it in the back and stuff
they're doing fights at their own the shit they own, right? They're putting dudes on from Dana White Contender Series who are small paid dudes
that
who are
they
ten
own?
thousand that they own. They're doing promoting all their own products now that they own or co-own, and they're putting on more events than ever with like this weekend's card was shit. They put randoms against randoms. It was a shit card,
Yeah,
name wise. Some of the fights were decent, but it's like it's just becoming this cash cow. And like as much as I love watching UFC, man, like I totally understand when fighters leave and go to PFL or bare knuckle boxing.
right.
But honestly,
or
if
even or even like Pride. You know what I mean? Or not Pride anymore, but
now it'd be like one
um,
FC or Rising,
yeah, one FC, one
you know?
FC. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's really sad. Hopefully, there's a turning point. You know, they kind of own the fucking industry, the UFC.
There's a was a lawsuit against them for trying to monopolize the market because they were literally buying out people. They bought out WEC, Pride, and Strikeforce, which was all their biggest competitors. Now the only reason they can't buy out their competitors now is because they're owned by bigger brands than their brand.
Right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Like fucking what is it? Bellator is owned by Viacom. You ain't buying out Viacom.
Isn't the UFC owned by Saudi Arabia? The
They're
Saudis?
part of it. So part of
Yeah.
UFC is owned by them a percentage, and then the other part is um I think now they're called WME Global
Isn't
or
that
W.
fucking wild that
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia's got money?
dude. So
It's
I hear Saudi
so
Arabia is
much
trying to
money.
buy WWE, the whole thing.
I think I heard the exact same thing. Like that that's crazy how much influence the Saudi Arabian state has in America, bro. I would be I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it. Anyways, let's move on. I don't want to talk too
9/11.
much shit about the Saudi Arabians.
Looking at
Um,
9/11 is all I'm gonna say.